Hello everyone. Today we are going to learn about setting high expectations using the strategy or method called stretch it. And this quote down here says, "A mind that is stretched by a new experience can never go back to its old dimensions." So, what does stretch it mean? The definition is to reward right answers with harder questions. Stretch it involves doing three key things. As teachers, we must create a habit of asking follow-up questions. We must ask many different kinds of questions, and we must build a culture that embraces the notion that learning is never done. Here is a short video clip about the technique stretch it used with a simple topic like pizza.
The key idea of stretch it is that the sequence of learning does not end with the right answer. Reward right answers with follow-up questions that extend knowledge and test for reliability. This technique is especially important for differentiating instruction. It's a great idea and important to remember to respond to right answers by asking students to answer a different or tougher question, or by using questions to make sure that an answer is repeatable. That is, that the student knows how to get similar right answers again and again and again. I love this example. It's one of my all-time favorites. I start with a very easy question. Do you like pizza? If I receive a correct response, I'll follow up with a question like, which do you like, cheese or pepperoni pizza? Which topping do you like the best? What is your favorite pizza restaurant? How many pieces of pizza can you eat? Stretch it rewards right answers with more questions. Do you drink Coke, Sprite, or orange soda with your pizza? Do you prefer to eat in the restaurant, takeout, or delivery? Who pays for the pizza? Is pizza a healthy food? What's your favorite side dish with pizza? Why do you like pizza? This technique can be stretched to include more than one person. You can recycle, repeat, and ask questions again. One of the primary benefits of this technique is its ability to check for replicable understanding. You avoid falsely concluding that reliable answers or mastery of material has been achieved without eliminating the possibility that luck, coincidence, or partial mastery led to a correct answer. Asking frequent, targeted, and rigorous questions of students helps them demonstrate their mastery of a subject and allows you to gauge your students' ability levels and helps you in further differentiation later on in the class. This technique is not easy on the teacher. You constantly have to be on top of your game, asking questions, following up answers. But I guarantee you, it will be a welcome exhaustion at the end of the day.
Okay, now rewriting right answers with harder questions. This gives students exciting ways to push ahead and reveals the level of a student's mastery. So there are two kinds of prompting. This is directive prompting, where teachers guide students to think further in a specific way about something they've mastered. There are 6 different kinds of questions we can ask, like ask how or why questions. Students must explain how they arrived at their answer. Asking for another way to answer, make sure students can use all available methods. Asking for a better word or a more precise expression reinforces the goal of developing vocabulary. Number 4 is ask for evidence, which emphasizes the process of building and supporting sound arguments. Number 5, ask students to integrate a related skill so students can utilize other skills that they have already mastered. And number 6 is to ask students to apply the same skill in a new setting. So once students have mastered a skill, they can apply it to a new and challenging setting. Stretch It loves objectives. Stretch It should accomplish important objectives. Aligned goals in the classroom. Both lateral stretching into new areas and reinforcement stretching to keep skills students have mastered alive are good to do, but it is important to reserve most of our Stretch It questions for things aligned to the objective for that particular day. Okay, now is time for you to role play. First, we will watch a short video clip of a teacher actually using the Stretch It technique in action, and then we're going to have you work with a partner to try to role play with a certain scenario and how to ask these Stretch It questions.
People with ADHD save 10 hours studying with this Chrome extension. But no, by all means.
What is our conclusion that we can draw from this data? What's a conclusion that we can draw? Fewer hands. Kayla, what's a conclusion you can draw? Track Kayla, please. Okay, so Kayla said the different slope affects how deep the stream is, but I need someone to make that more specific. You're right, but I need you to make that more specific. That's a little bit general for us. Shanice, can you make that more specific? Good. The steeper the slope, the deeper the stream is, okay? That's the first part of your conclusion. So you need to make sure it's specific enough, okay? That it not just says that there is a relationship, but that it explains what the relationship is. So the steeper the slope, the more deep the stream is. What's the opposite side of that? What's the opposite of that? Marissa?
The more gentle the stream, the less
Good. There's more shallow. Good. The more gentle the slope, the more shallow the stream is going to be. Okay? Now, I want someone to take this one step further and use the word erosion. So that should be the first part. What Shanice said and what Marissa just said should be the first part of your conclusion. But now I want someone to finish it with another sentence that uses the word erosion in there. That uses the word erosion. Karan, can you do that for us? Please try, Karan. Read what you wrote if it has the word erosion in it.
The steep slope made the slopes that greater since it was barely a so the water got no benefit depth. The gentle slope was around it already, so the water ran over it just right.
Okay, it's a little bit unclear. Can we clarify? I think Karan is onto it, but it's not quite clear. He's talking about the amount of erosion that's taking place. Let's just say a little bit more concisely. Jessica. Good. The steeper the slope, the more erosion you're going to get. And the less steep, the less erosion you're going to get. Why? This could then be your next sentence. Why would you get more erosion with a steeper slope and less erosion with a gentle slope? Sierra.
You would get more erosion with the steeper slope because the water is coming down faster and harder than the steeper slope.
Good, exactly right. The water is going to flow down faster and harder with a steeper slope, so you're going to get more erosion.
All right, now you're going to turn and talk with a partner, and you can use any topic to use a Stretch It technique. So it can be anything from as simple as the topic pizza or anything as difficult as slope. I'll set a timer for about 3 minutes. Okay, now we're going to talk about prompting. As we talked about earlier, we know what directive prompting is. Now we're going to talk about non-directive prompting. So this is when teachers allow students to decide what they think is important to talk about or improve on. So, like I said, there are 2 types of prompting. There's verbal prompting and nonverbal prompting. Verbal prompting may sound like say more, keep going, or develop. And a nonverbal prompt might look like a rolling gesture with your hand, a head nod, or raised eyebrows. The best approach is to use both directive and non-directive prompts, so interchangeably. And then This chart down here is the 4 different levels of prompting, and it's a spectrum, not a hierarchy. So nonverbal would be a traveling gesture, a prompt non-directive would be and, a prompt partially directive would be tell me more about the first part specifically, and a follow-up question would be what evidence tells you that. Building a Stretch It culture. So in order to build this culture within your classroom, you're going to explain Stretch It to your students. So what's going to happen and how it's going to happen, and teach them what it means to give a good answer. We want to make Stretch It fun and transparent. Explain that the best part of learning is a challenge, and if you respond with a more difficult question, it's because you like the answer, not because you didn't. Stretch each other. So we don't only want teachers stretching students, we want students stretching students, and even students stretching teachers too. So cultures are built collectively. Students can also stretch each other. Students have the opportunity to ask another student to expand, or the teacher can ask students to stretch one another's answers. As far as Stretch It encouraging positive behavior, this technique puts a large emphasis on growth mindset. So you don't want students to think, oh no, this is going to be a hard problem, as stated before, but you want students to think, oh yeah, this is going to be a hard problem. Teachers can reinforce statements to help students embrace the growth mindset implicit in Stretch It. For example, I know if I keep at this, I will eventually stump you. Stretch It can help teachers create a culture where students want and expect challenge and embrace growth mindset. Thank you so much for listening to the topic Stretch It and how it creates high expectations within your classroom. If you have any questions, I can answer them now, or you can email me them later. Thanks so much for listening.